Hello, and welcome back again to Better Leader, Richer Life. This is week 4 of our course, and now we're really in the thick of it because this week we move from introspection to actions you'll take to build trust in your real world. After having delved into what it means for you to act with authenticity by clarifying what's important in your life, last week you took a fresh look at who matters most to you. You explored new ways of seeing how your closest relationships affect each other, how they're part of a system you can change. Following your completion of the assignments from last week, you should now have a clearer picture of who your key stakeholders are, what they expect of you, and where there is compatibility and conflict among them. You may have generated new ideas for the experiments you might try to produce improved performance in all domains. Next week, we'll start thinking in detail about how to design useful and exciting experiments. Hang on, we're almost there. And you had your second opportunity to provide coaching and feedback to your classmates. I hope it was useful for you to comment on what they wrote about their values and vision in assignment 2, and that this helped you to think about your own responses to that assignment. This week, you'll be asked to comment on what your classmates wrote in assignment 3 about their stakeholders. Let me ask you again to do your best to be compassionate and inquiring about what strikes your curiosity as you read and as you write your observations and questions to them. As before, please try to be as helpful as you can. Constructive feedback and coaching is not about who or what is right or wrong. And this week, you'll read what your classmates said about your second assignment, your values and vision. When reading what they wrote to you, the challenge is to remain as open as you can to this feedback and to think about it. What can I learn from what my classmates have written in response to what I wrote about where I've come from and where I'm going? Try to see their comments as a resource for you on your path through our course, even if you disagree with what they wrote. It's normal to try to block out perspectives that are different from our own, and it takes some effort and courage, really, to see things from the perspective of others. But this is an essential leadership skill, and this week you'll be getting lots of practice in your stakeholder dialogues. So try to put any natural defensiveness aside and look again with renewed openness. As with last week, you may have questions about the assignments, the peer feedback, or other aspects of our course. Our team will do our best to address whatever is on your mind in our forums, FAQs, and other channels. There are, again, 4 parts to the lecture, starting with this one. We're still talking about the principle of being whole, acting with integrity by respecting the whole person. But now the challenge before us is how to prepare for and conduct actual dialogues with some of your key stakeholders. My goal in this week's lecture is to help you make these dialogues fruitful for you and for those with whom you choose to speak. I'll talk about the purpose of these dialogues, explain how to chart your course, and then adjust it. I'll teach you how to look through their eyes by taking what I call the leadership leap, seeing yourself as others do, and to uncover their underlying interests and so discover new ways of meeting expectations and finding common ground. I'll encourage you to practice getting inside the heads and hearts of your stakeholders, and I'll give you some practical advice about how to build trust and how to try to restore it if it's been hurt or even broken. I realize it might be difficult to fit these conversations into your schedule, but do the best you can. A good goal is to have dialogues with at least 2 stakeholders for each domain, 6 altogether. This way, you have the benefit of seeing things from the point of view of multiple people who matter in each of the different parts of your life. To be a better leader and have a richer life, you have to continually practice the art of meaningful conversation with those you hope to inspire. And you can never be too good at it. Just as in music or sports, any performing art, with leadership, You have to practice continually, and you can always get better. So, by the end of this lecture, you should feel better equipped to start your stakeholder dialogues and get the most out of them, going deeper into the relationships you have with those in your inner circle. All right, let's talk about the purpose of these stakeholder dialogues. They have two main goals. First, to verify existing expectations, to see if what you thought they expect of you is what they really expect of you. And second, only if it makes sense to do so, to try to change existing expectations, to explore how they might be met in new and better ways. But the first goal is the essential one. And if the second goal isn't achieved, that is perfectly all right. Mainly, you just want to get a clearer picture of the social reality that surrounds you. And stakeholder dialogues provide an opportunity for you to build trust and enhance support from the people about whom you care most. These dialogues propel you to the next step in our course, which is about designing experiments that will benefit not just you, but all the important people in your life. And you're going to be a lot smarter about how to do that, having talked through and better understood your mutual expectations. And this is, after all, the leadership challenge: to choose a meaningful direction based on knowing yourself and your people, and then to gain commitment to its vigorous pursuit. In the stakeholder dialogues, you have a chance to tell your story to the people who are the most interested in hearing it, and to hear more of their story. Now, you may be experiencing some anxiety at this point as you're anticipating having these conversations. That is normal. In fact, if you weren't experiencing some anxiety at this point, I'd be worried that you weren't paying enough attention to what's ahead. Remember, many others have gone through this same process. And in this lecture, I'm going to offer best practice tips that others have found useful. Kirk Brown, who was a project manager at a big pharmaceutical company, went through this process not too long ago. And let's hear what he had to say.
As you go through the conversations, the first 60 seconds is the worst, period, right? Expect it. You'll get into that, and all I did is said, you know what, I have this class, and I have to, in order for me to do well, you mean a lot to me, and you have to help me by talking to me about us. And then all of a sudden it became, the door was open, the conversation started, and from there it was unbelievably comfortable, unbelievably honest. And I can say that in every case there may have been surprises, but I think the net result was always positive, because you learned more about a relationship that you had with somebody, and most importantly, you showed them that, hey, you know, you're important to me, and that if you phrase it the right way, you know, they'll feel touched and they'll be willing to open up more and more to you.
All right. Let's now chart your course, as I'll describe in the second video of this week's lecture.